Hello and welcome to another grammar, vocabulary and pronunciation tutorial. I'm Maciej, your non-native and non-AI English teacher. In front of you, you have 5 sentences that contain very typical errors learners of English make, and at the bottom there are 3 words that are very typically mispronounced by non-native speakers. Pause the video now, have a think, look at these 5 sentences, check if you can correct them, and then have a look at those 3 words there at the bottom and think how you would pronounce them. Try not to consult the dictionary if you can, and once you're ready, hit the play button and join me in correcting all those sentences and checking your answers. So, 3, 2, 1. Our first sentence contains a very, very typical error, and it's to do with verb forms. In English, very often, there are no rules when it comes to verb forms that follow other verbs. And in this case, we have the infinitive in this sentence after the verb avoid. But guess what? In English, avoid is never followed by an infinitive. We need to use the gerund. So we should actually say, try to avoid having arguments when you can. So a very quick tip for you here, something to remember. Avoid goes with a gerund. It's basically avoid something. And when you can replace the verb with the word something, whenever you have to use that verb, it's going to be an ing. So avoid something, avoid doing something. Let's go over to the next sentence, and this one also contains a grammar mistake, and it's also a mistake in verb forms. This sentence sounds really good to a lot of non-native speakers, but the problem, again, is with the verb form after the word capable, because after capable in English, you can't put a full infinitive, even though it might sound great to you. It just doesn't work. So what do you do after capable? Well, you need to say capable of doing something. So we basically put a gerund after of following capable. So we should say the sentence as they think. She's capable of convincing him. So another little tip here, and something worth remembering if you don't want to make mistakes when using capable, is use capable with of and then a gerund. And it's a gerund because it's capable of something. We're capable of something, so we need to put the ing if we want to replace this word, this something, with a verb. Capable of doing something. Over to our next sentence, and here we have another very, very typical error. And this is to do with the word persons, because in English, in a context like this, you can't say persons with the S. You have to say, well, what do you need to say? What's the plural of person? It's people, right? So we should say, there are only 2 people in the queue. And in English, you basically use the word people whenever there are 2 or more. So 1 person, 2 or more people. Now you may be asking, is it possible at all to say persons in English? Well, it is possible to say persons. As I said, we say people in kind of 99.9% of the cases in English, but if the context is very formal, especially when it's the legal context, and it's written English, you might see the word persons written with the S there. We wouldn't use the word persons in normal conversation, in everyday conversation, because it just sounds really odd. It sounds completely out of place. But in legal contexts, you might see the word person, such as, for instance, only 6 persons are allowed in the lift, or there are 2 persons of interest. So it is possible to do that, but it's almost non-existent. It only exists in writing, and it only exists in extremely formal, official contexts. So basically, use people. And over to our next sentence. And this one is a pretty interesting one because there's a grammar as well as a vocabulary error here. Did you notice that there were actually two things that were wrong about this sentence? Well, let's deal with the first one first. And this first one is to do, again, with verb forms. Okay, and in here we've got a full infinitive following the word think, the verb think. And in English, you never follow think with a full infinitive. And guess what? It's a gerund. And in here, we have two possibilities, actually. We can say think of doing, or think about doing. Think of doing is slightly more common, so I would encourage you to say think of doing. Now, what is this person thinking of doing? A career? It sounds really strange here because the word career is a false friend here. In many, many languages, this word is going to be a false friend here. So how do we replace that? What did this person actually want to do? She wanted to go to the university, right? So what do you call a university study program? It's a degree. So basically we should say this sentence as she is thinking of doing a maths degree, or she is thinking about doing a maths degree. So just try to remember, it's to think of doing something because it's think of something. Again, we're replacing the word something with a gerund, and or rather think about doing something. Again, a gerund there. And then, again, we're going to stay in the context of education and schools here. Now, what did you think of this last sentence on our list today? What's wrong here? Well, it's another vocabulary error, isn't it? We're not talking about qualifications here, are we? The word qualification is another false friend that exists in many languages, especially in the Mediterranean. So what do we replace it with? Well, it should be replaced. We actually have two options here. We can either replace it with the word marks, or we could replace it with the word grades. So we can say, when I was at school, I got bad marks. Or when I was at school, I got bad grades. Both of these options are equally fine. And I'm going to say it again. Do review your lists of false friends in your mother tongue because it's going to save you from making lots and lots of vocabulary mistakes. Now, let's have a look at pronunciation. And in here we have three words that are very, very often mispronounced by learners of English. So this first one is actually an incredible trap. First of all, let me ask you, how many syllables do you think there are in this word? Your answer here should be 3. This word is only 3 syllables long, because guess what? The letters OR inside this word are silent. We don't say them. So we say comfortable. 3 syllables. Comfortable. And did you hear how I pronounced that O in that first syllable? It was the short A sound, wasn't it? It's comfortable. And did you also notice that there are no tables at the end of this word? Even though you can see T-A-B-L-E, it's not pronounced as table. In fact, when you see the A-B-L-E ending, you will almost never pronounce it as able in English. It's always going to be, almost always going to be a bull. So, comfortable. Comfortable. It's a killer word, so let's practice this in some sentences. Have a look first, and then listen and repeat. Don't get too comfortable. Don't get too comfortable. And have a look at the next sentence. Would you be comfortable with that? Would you be comfortable with that? Well done. And let's jump over to our next word. And this is one of my favorite ones because even advanced students get it wrong, but like completely wrong. Here, there are two traps. The letters OU in the first syllable are pronounced as ow, just as at the beginning of the word out. Okay, so it's ow, mown. And then in that last syllable, in that second syllable, that letter A is silent. We don't say it at all. So how do we say this word? Mountain. Mountain. And let's practice this in sentences. Have a look. I love walking in the mountains. I love walking in the mountains. And the next sentence. Are you a mountain or a beach person? Are you a mountain or a beach person? Now we've got one more word ahead of us, but before that, if you're enjoying this video, consider joining my learning community. It's completely free and you'll have access to tons of great quality free resources, and you can upgrade your membership if you feel you need more support, but this is completely optional. The link is in the description. And now let's come back to our last word on the list. So how would you say it? You see, a lot of learners here make the mistake of pronouncing every letter they see in this word. But there is a silent letter here. Which one is it? The L. We don't say L in the word, how would you say it? Half. Half. A nice long R sound inside this word. Half. Let's practice it in sentences. Have a look. It's already 4:30. It's already 4:30. Would you like the other half of the cake? Would you like the other half of the cake? Well done! Well, I hope this was useful and you've managed to learn or revise some useful concepts. We'll be back with another grammar, vocabulary and pronunciation digest soon, and until then, enjoy the learning process. Take care.